This is key number 6 out of 10 keys to grow your business by 10 times. In this episode, we are addressing key number 6, how to create more engagement with prospective clients than you have availability. A nice problem to have. Get ready. You're going to gain insights that maybe you've never had before. So, I'm Doug Andrew, and I've actually started many businesses throughout my career. I've been primarily a financial strategist and a retirement planning specialist now for 48 years. I have trained over 3,000 financial advisors how to take their financial planning practice to 10 times or more in less than 60 months while simplifying their life. So as we go through this episode, I want you to get ready, put on your seatbelt. This key number 6 is 6 out of 10. I would strongly recommend you view all 10 episodes for the 10 keys. Because when I started out in Strategic Coach, just before the turn of the century, I was all ready for 10 consecutive years netting $500,000 or more of income. But in less than 60 months, I 10 times that to over $5 million of net income using these 10 keys that I'm describing. So as we proceed, be sure to post a comment or click like or share with another entrepreneur that you think would appreciate or benefit from viewing this. So let's go into key number 6. Again, the 10 Keys transformation is how to exponentially elevate your career, your profits, your customer engagement in 60 months or less. And a lot of people think, ooh, I'm going to have to work 10 times harder to make 10 times more. No, it will make life simpler. You must follow the keys. So this is key number 6. And as we proceed, at the end of this episode, I'll show you how you can claim a free copy of this 10 Keys Transformation book. Key number 6, create more engagement. In other words, more opportunities to engage with your ideal client, customer, patient, whatever you do, then you have availability in your calendar. Unfortunately, a lot of people have way more availability than they have engagement opportunities. I like to flip that. So you're going to then filter which opportunities to seize, which ones to delegate, which ones to walk away from. Unfortunately, many entrepreneurs that I come across, they have what we call big A, little e. They have way more availability in their calendar and so forth than they have engagement opportunities. And that's sad to me. I like to flip that because my graduates of this 10 Keys transformation, they learn how to have way more engagement opportunities than they possibly have the availability to be able to accommodate those people. So then they have to filter which clients, customers, which opportunities to seize, which ones to delegate to maybe associates or affiliates, and which ones you just want to walk away from instead of thinking you're desperate, you have to engage with everybody. So the goal here is to have big E, little a, more engagement than you have availability. Unfortunately, a lot of people have the opposite. So as you go through this, one of the tools that I developed that you download in this book I want to give you at the end of this episode is what we call the engagement filter. And I know you can't totally read this here, so I'm going to go through and describe it and just dissect it into the 2 parts that it's on. So the top part of this engagement filter form is when you begin to create more opportunities, people that want to engage with you, than you have availability in your calendar. And so years ago when I learned how to do that, and the book will show you and teach you how to do that, all of these 10 keys will create that. This is a nice problem. I actually did this at first for a few years, but then I taught my administrative assistant to fill out this engagement filter form every time somebody called up and said they wanted me to come and speak or teach or do this or do that. And I remember one time I had 3 opportunities that were on the same date. And I needed to be in Chicago that day, Strategic Coach. They wanted me in Las Vegas to speak at the Bellagio Hotel to 2,000 mortgage loan originators. And then within 24 hours, be in San Diego at the $1 Million Roundtable Convention. And in between all of that, go to Carlsbad and speak to an audience of about 100, multimillionaires. I actually had 4 opportunities, but I thought, well, I can handle 2. But I was able to use this filter to actually accommodate all 4, but I delegated portions of it. But first of all, you have to go through and put down the engagement opportunity. What you have available as far as a patient, a new customer, speaking engagement, what have you. So you put it down here, and what you're going to do is use 5 criteria in order to score that opportunity for engagement on a scale of a -1 to a +1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. So the best score would be a 5. But you can actually score yourself a -1 on certain opportunities. Now, there's 5 areas that I score an opportunity on: impact, magnify, recommend, leverage, and multiply. And I score based upon all 5 of these, and I'll explain in just a moment, on a scale of a -1 to a +5. So the highest score I could get if the opportunity was just out of this world would be 25, okay? So by doing this, I can only seize the opportunities that score on my lowest bar. When I first started doing this, it was anything over 16. Schedule in my calendar, I told my assistant. And then I had to raise the bar to 18, then 21. Pretty soon I had so many opportunities to engage that the score had to be 24 or 25 in order for her to schedule it in my calendar. That was a nice problem, and she only brought ones to me that both conflicted. They both scored 24, and I would make the final decision. Now, I didn't even know about most of the opportunities because she went through and filled out the engagement filter, and she didn't even bother me because she knew how I thought. That's how simple this can be. What you're doing with the first one is only engage when there is positive what? Impact for everyone involved, a win-win-win. So on a -1 to a +5, I score, is this opportunity going to be a win-win-win for everybody? Is it going to have a major impact for everybody involved? If it doesn't, then it's a score of -1 or 1 or 2. So that's the first category. The second is seize the opportunities that magnify my expertise. See, I want to grow. I want to stretch. I want to get out of my comfort zone. I have never grown until I got out of my comfort zone. So I will seize the opportunities that magnify my exceptional expertise, which is understanding what that is in the other keys in this entire series. So you want to magnify and stretch and grow. Number 3. Engage with relationships that will recommend you. I don't want a dead-end street. I want to be able to recommend my clients and customers or what have you to the person who's engaging with me. I want them to refer and recommend me to their customers. I want it to be a two-way street, not a dead end, one side or the other. So if it scores high on recommend or refer, I would put in a 4 or a 5 on a scale of -1 to +5. The fourth criteria is seize the opportunities that will leverage, okay? Leverage your core expertise. Again, my core expertise, if I can use my core expertise that I bring to this event or this table or this situation, and I can then leverage it with other people to create a sum that's greater than the parts, then it's a win-win-win big time because I am leveraging my unique abilities with other people's unique abilities. Is that making some sense? You score it -1 to +5. The last one is, will this engagement opportunity multiply value and elevate all parties? Again, I only want to seize opportunities where we see growth, where if I speak to an organization, I want their growth to go through the roof because I came and spoke or I taught or the client was able to accumulate an extra $1 million if they came to my seminar. I want to multiply things for everybody that's involved. If it will do that, that's a score of 4 or 5. So those are the 5 criteria that I put on the engagement filter. So once we do that, on all of these scores, you add it up and you will have a number between probably a -5 up to a +25. If your lowest bar is 16 or 18 or 21, then you make a determination. So based upon the total score, are you going to walk away from this opportunity? Nope, this doesn't hit my low score, the bar. Am I going to delegate this? Ooh, it's right there, but actually, I have a conflicting engagement. This one would be better for me. I'm going to delegate this to one of my sons or one of my affiliates, one of my assistants, something like that, which I do many, many times. Or I'm going to seize it. If I'm going to seize this opportunity, or if my assistant says, yep, this is one for Doug, now we go through what is called the break, B-R-E-A-K. This is an acronym. What we do is say, what barriers, that's the B, what barriers do we need to overcome in order to make sure this is just over the top? And we identify the barriers, the roadblocks, the hindrances that we need to overcome. The R is resources. What resources, what skills do I need to hone in on or tweak or glean from other people so that this will, be a home run? E is experiences. What experiences do I need to share or draw from or actually create or draw from other people in order to make sure this is a success? A is action. What are the action steps I need to take and what others need to take in order to make sure that this opportunity is just incredible? The last is K, which is knowledge. What knowledge do I need to obtain in order to make sure it's the highest and best use of our time? Or what other people's knowledge do I need to glean from to make sure the engagement opportunity is the best? That's called the breakthrough analysis. It's 1 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. So when you have more opportunities for engagement than you have availability in your calendar, that's a nice problem. And so then you use an engagement filter to determine which ones you're going to seize. This is the best way to do it with a scoring system, and you can train your employees to do this. The scoring system is based upon your exceptional expertise. What are you best at? What are you superior at? And that's another key. The minimum bar is set. Conclusions are drawn. A decision is reached and actions are taken, whether to seize, delegate, or walk away from. It is that simple. The inspiration behind part of this key came from a business book, Blue Ocean Strategy. If you've not read it, I would recommend you get it. It talks about the concept of a blue ocean of opportunity because unfortunately, most business owners choose, not consciously, to operate in a red ocean. What's a red ocean? It's bloody. It's shark eating shark, dog eating dog, competitive world. See, Blue Ocean Strategy, the subtitle is How to Create Uncontested Market Space and Make the Competition Irrelevant. So, let me make sure you understand this. Dan Sullivan, my coach, explained it this way. When you are spending 80% of your time in a red ocean environment, like most business owners, you're in a competitive maneuvering. You're constantly strategizing. You're litigating. Notice how many politicians do this. They tear down their opponents. They tear down their competitors, thinking by tearing down all the other buildings in town, you'll be the last building standing. That is a red ocean. You're only spending 20% of your time in a blue ocean environment. What you do is you flip that. You want to spend at least 80% or 90% of your time focused on solving your customer's DOS. I'll show you what that is. You want to provide leadership, relationship, and creativity so that people do not feel confused, isolated, and powerless. And that's one of the other keys that I talk about in this series. Now, if this is resonating with you, subscribe to this channel. You have no idea what you're missing out on if you don't subscribe. I post an in-depth answer to a question almost on a daily basis. But stay with me to the end of this episode. I want to gift you a copy of the 10 Keys book. And you can also have an opportunity to go through an 18-hour online masterclass. So what is this blue ocean? This is where you are constantly operating in a sea of abundance, and abundance breeds abundance, and you're focusing on your customers' DOS, D-O-S. You're helping them eliminate the dangers that prevent them from achieving their dreams or their goals. You're helping them see the opportunities. That's the O of DOS, opportunities. And then the S is strengths. What strengths do they need to harness? And I'll show you some examples of this. But I've often talked about this bad news bonanza we have. CNN, I've often said, stands for constant negative news. Because it used to be that only 55% of the news you would hear would be bad news. Now it's 95% or more. I just go out and I scoop up bad news whenever I'm going to do a radio show or write a book or whatever. And I go, I feel like a grizzly bear on a permanent salmon run. I just go out and scoop up the bad news. And all of a sudden I start asking myself, why are people feeling confused, isolated, and powerless? about what's going on in the world today, whether it's physical calamities, the stock market crashing, floods, earthquakes, tornadoes. It doesn't matter. And so we're focused between the threats that everybody seems to focus on and helping people see opportunities. And this is the big game changer. So when we talk about this particular key, to create more engagement than you have opportunities with prospective clients, you're operating in this blue ocean environment. You're helping to identify the dangers and eliminate them. You're helping them seize the greatest opportunities, that's the O in DOS, and harness the best strengths. You'll see some examples of this here in the other keys in this series, so don't miss out. Watch all the episodes. But in this particular key right here, if we were to go across and score yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, if you have more, big A, little e, you have way more availability in your calendar than you have engagement, opportunities, appointments, okay? Then big E, little a, okay? That's more availability than you have engagement. That's a 1 or 2. You want to raise that score. That's on a scale of 1 to 10. If your opportunities are in a red ocean, where you're trying to outdo your competition, a dog-eat-dog type of a world, that's a 3 or 4. Everybody's out there fighting, trying to tear down other people. If you have a blue ocean type of environment, opportunities, and you pursue those opportunities that reward you financially, that's only a 5 or 6. That's how most business owners operate. Where am I going to make the most money? It's not just about the money. So what's better than that? If you have more engagements than you have availability, and you only seize the opportunities that will have the greatest impact, and you will get compensated monetarily. But it's not just about the money, it's about the impact. That is a game changer. There are many times I have turned down opportunities even to speak for Tony Robbins where I know I can make $250,000 in 60 minutes. Okay, I've spoken for him many times. And I've passed that up to be with 12 teenagers at a crisis center that have attempted suicide. The impact of being with 12 teenagers was greater than making $250,000. Sometimes you seize opportunities not just because where am I going to make the most money? Does that make sense? So the greatest, a score of 9 or 10 out of a possible 10 is you filter opportunities based on whether they will be impactful, if they'll magnify your expertise. They'll lead you to recommendations. They will leverage your expertise and will multiply the value for everybody. And that is accomplished by using that engagement filter. Now, that's just the tip of the iceberg. If you want to learn more about how I was able to take what I invested over $3 million in my life, sharpening my saw, I compiled it in this book. I've delivered this to many, many entrepreneurs and helped them 10 times their practice in 60 months or less while simplifying their life. Go to free10keysbook.com. You'll be able to download and print the digital version there with a very nominal processing fee. But there's options there if you want to get the audio, which I recorded myself. But here's what I would really hope that you seize the opportunity to learn from, and that's the 10 Keys Masterclass. This is where I spend 18 hours teaching a masterclass online where I've had many business owners shell out $6,000, and they came back 3 and 4 times and paid $6,000 because their practice went through the roof. This is about you and your brighter future. So search the other keys in this series. Don't miss out. And I'll see you 5 years down the road at 10 times your current income.